Welcome to the Shellerina Show, Pastor Rousey.
I'm glad to be on.
Thanks for
Thanks for
coming.
having me.
You're more than welcome. I just have a few questions for you. I did go over your bio, and I read that you have a very exciting and energetic congregation. And you're here today to tell us more about your church, some of the services that you all provide, your community outreach, and perhaps a little more about your ministry. So before we get started, would like to ask you or begin by asking you, how did you become a pastor, or when were you called into pastorship?
I came into the ministry around 1998, August of 98. My father was living then, and he always wanted to start his own church. So when I came into the ministry, he came up with the vision and told me about it, that, he wanted to be a pastor and I'll be the co-pastor. But as the Lord would have it, that in 1999, a year later, the Lord called him home to be with him. And that's when the Lord started talking to me, because how many know that sometimes the Father's vision doesn't come through but from the Son?
Mm-hmm.
And so the Lord spoke to me, and I started pastoring in 2009.
Okay. And the name of your church is Second Samuel
Memorial Ministry.
And how did you come up with the name of that
It's
church?
interesting because my father's name is Samuel, and his father's name is Samuel, so that makes him Second Samuel. It was his vision. I'm not a Samuel. He called me just James. And so he's Second Samuel, so God gave me that name to name the church. Just so happens to be a book of the Bible, memorial in memory of him, and ministries because of other ministries like women ministries and teen ministry happening in the church, within the church.
That's very interesting. In your bio, it also talked about that you have a lot of youth and
Yes.
you all get involved in group competitions and rapping, and I'm quite sure it's gospel rapping.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your youth, and how did you all get so many youth involved in your church?
The Lord has gifted me to be a conduit, sort of, for lack of a better word, conduit, or a person that stands between two generations. I
Okay.
can speak well with the older generation, and I can speak well to the younger generations. The Lord gifted me that way, and so I keep, so to speak, my ear to the ground, for the latest lingo.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they come to visit the church, because I always go out and talk with the youth, it's a troubled generation, and so I invite them to the church, and I pick up on their lingo, and they like that because I can talk like them.
Okay.
And so they come into the church, and so they hear me talk just like them, and they like it, and they hear the message, and they like the message.
Great, great. And when you talk to the youth, what are some of the things that you say to them?
That God wants you, young people, because He doesn't want you to despise Him in your youth. It's not an old person's religion, or an old person's relationship, or an old person's mission,
Okay.
because you think that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait until I'm 30 before I come to the church, but God wants you now. And it's not all about traditions and boring services. It's not boring. Some may be, but not this one.
Great, great. And when are your services held? What time do they start?
we're we're holding services at the Christian Street YMCA, held